Alex. Alex is very proud that we've been working together off and on 10 years. As part of a group called the North Star Group, we're other members, the other Alex here, and Nobu somewhere. It's a group of mostly business owners and entrepreneurs. And I was inspired to write this book, Owning Tomorrow, the unstoppable force of disruptive leadership, mostly because I didn't really know what it was about, what disruption was about, and it was a word that suddenly everybody was using. I want you to think for a second. When was the first time you heard of a company called Amazon? And when did you learn about what it actually did and you figured it out? What about Uber? Uber's a German word, Uber. Or Netflix. These are all very disruptive companies. And it was business that was driving disruption in the beginning, if you remember. Whole bookstores would be closing, even chains of bookstores. I don't even know if any of them around. Barnes & Noble is. I did my book there. Netflix completely changed how we got our movies, how we watch movies, and they got into actually new production. So it's what we call disruption. Disruption is fueled by a very basic human need, which is, I've heard it several times today, actually. I want to be better. We want to be better. We want it to be better. We want everything around us to be better. And when we do that as human beings, and actually it disrupts things. Disrupts the system, the way of doing things that is no longer working for us. Or we discover a better way of doing something. And it's usually technology, at least in the business world. In technology, a piece of technology like the internet starts a whole wave of disruption. Now, why don't you think about another, probably most important disruption that's occurred to humankind, COVID. That wasn't even man-made, or at least we don't know if it was. Based a little bit. I was just told not to say that. My life changed 180%. I was out and about. I was meeting my clients in their offices. I was having meetings, face-to-face meetings, which I don't do now. I was going to events. I was going to theater, opera, concerts, museums, all this sort of stuff. I think I've been to maybe 4 performances this year. I've been to the grocery store maybe 3 times when I forgot to order something on Instacart. I do all my coaching, almost all my coaching, via Zoom or Google Meet. I have clients. I have also coaches who I work with who I didn't meet until 2 years. I just met Carlos for them over 2 years because we do all of our work over Zoom. Think about what that means for a human being. My life is not necessarily better. Actually, I don't know if it is. But the fact is that my connection to people has changed dramatically. And although my life is easier, and I get more done, probably get what I get done in 6 hours, and it's taking 10 or 11. And so I asked myself, what is the purpose of disruption? It is to make our life easier and better, but it's easier and less time-consuming for things we may not want to do. But is it better? And this is where you guys have problems. Because you're about making the world a better place. You have religious organizations where people go for spiritual nourishment. Academic institutions are going to learn and to be better people and learn how to actually take this journey called life and be better at it. We go to organizations that serve the underserved and they do what we can do to make their lives better. By nature, by definition, we are disruptive. Non-profit leaders are disruptive leaders who are taking the status quo and they're making it better. They're truly better. Better at a level that is important to mankind, which is the connection, the purpose, the finding and discovering yourself, and discovering that it's not about us, it's about the others. So, what does that mean for leadership? Because it takes a very special leader to lead these organizations. First of all, you have to be unhappy with the status quo. You cannot be comfortable with the status quo. You have to want to change things. You have to want to disrupt things. By the way, the reason why people don't like the word disruption is it sounds negative. Disruption is the only way we get to transform the world. So that's why, for me, disruptive leadership is leadership. So it's being unhappy with status quo. Also understanding the difference between commitment to a cause, commitment to making the world a better place, and tunnel vision. Too many leaders find that they get totally rigid into this thing that they're doing. I won't mention names, but there's some very famous people who are in prison right now for tunnel vision. The real disruptive leader understands that within this cause that they're going for, and this mission that they have for themselves and the organizations, that they have to sometimes make changes and take a look at what they're doing and ask themselves if it's really working. And that's, of course, is because disruption is happening every day. Look, just the last 2 days, I turn on the TV and there's the Prince of Iran talking about starting a counter-revolution. Who would have thought everywhere we go? You guys, as nonprofits, you're dealing with funding changes, or disappearing funding, donors going elsewhere, the whole sector is being questioned, our educational system is being disrupted, the arts, and so forth, and AI. So this may be the big disruption right now is AI, and that's going to cause a lot. Okay, I have to lose. It's AI, and that's going to cause everyone in this room, pretty much everybody who's in business in one way or the other, to rethink how they deliver value. So anyways, the third trait of disruptive leader I just mentioned, which is you have to learn to be able to disrupt yourself. It's not about disrupting others. The hardest thing to do is disrupt yourself. So it comes a little bit out of this tunnel vision. Some of the greatest disruptors were people who internally disrupted their business, like Lou Gerstner did it. IBM completely turned it around by completely rethinking the entire business. Other aspects of it are bold and very well educated. Disruptors are educated. They learn to go out and learn about the world. That's what am I, number 5 now. You have to want to go out in the world to learn to see what's going on. Because chances are the idea that you're going to champion is not something you come up with. It's something else, something you see or witness. You have to go out of the 4 corners of your world, which is again why I have to question whether or not my life is better, because I'm stuck in 4 walls about 90% of my life. And I think I'm doing myself a disservice, so I'm going to disrupt myself. So the last thing I want to mention is a very important quality that all of you should have. Because in the middle of disruption, there'll be a lot of misunderstandings. There'll be a lot of people who don't get what you're doing. You may not even know why you're doing what you're doing. It's hope. Hope is the single most important trait. Anyone running a nonprofit, trying to save the world, trying to make it a better place for everybody. Because without hope, there's no resilience. There's no reason to continue if you don't have the hope. Without hope, there's no connection. And without hope, there's no reason to actually do anything that we're doing. So I would ask you to consider hope, commitment, courage as the most important qualities. And I'm happy to take any questions. And thank you for doing what you're doing.